Welcome to the fourth instalment of the Apex podcast. Today I have as my guest Lewis Buckley from Hiizzy, who's offering a peer-to-peer marketplace for people that want to sell their property without using an estate agent. So welcome, Lewis. If you'd like to do a brief introduction.
Thanks,
on
Nick.
yourself.
I appreciate the invitation to join you on this podcast. So as you say, my name's Lewis Buckley and I'm the CEO of Hiizzy, as you say, a platform to empower the individual to buy and sell property without an estate agent. My background is one from the legal community and financial services, and I now find myself stepping out of that into a tech environment. So quite a big change.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully you're enjoying and stepping up to the challenge.
It's a great experience, learning something every day and having lots of fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been involved in technology for 25 years, and even I'm kind of swamped by the pace of change at the moment. So, it's challenging for everybody. Back to Hiizzy, very interested in what you've started up there. So, what inspired you to start a peer-to-peer marketplace for people to sell property?
The experience of buying and selling property, most recently in 2019, when I was selling a home and buying a home, and my fiance was selling a home and buying our family home together. I used an estate agent, the traditional method of selling, and my wife didn't. She did it all on her own. And my business partner, my now business partner, actually was going through the same journey. And it just seemed very complicated, and the service didn't match the fee. It was frustrating, didn't really get the help that we thought we would get. And when I compared that to my wife's journey, where she sold her house without an estate agent, just went through like a dream. Two people got together, they talked about the house, they agreed a price, away they went, and it went through. There were no hiccups, no hassle. It was just a really nice, clean procedure. So she totally coincidentally happened to sell her house to my business partner's son. And so we got talking, and we expressed our frustrations and the cost of this traditional route of buying and selling a house, and compared it to my wife's and Alan's son's route. And we just thought, well, there must be another way. So we set off on a journey to discover that.
Oh, interesting. Well, bold move.
Well, our strapline is make bold moves happen. So, you're right.
Well, indeed. Yeah, there's a number of sayings around fortune favoring
Exactly.
the brave and so on. But, there are people selling property on their own or without using an agent. It often amazes me that they manage to do it. They're doing it on places like Facebook Marketplace. Yeah. Some people do it on eBay. Other platforms. What I read from that is there's clearly demand out there for people who want to be able to do that, and it is the intention to kind of provide a perhaps safer, more tailored place for that transaction to happen. On a platform that's actually meant for that, with all that kind of data behind it and insights and so on, rather than
for sure. eBay. So part of our market research. So when we stepped out onto this journey, we engaged a digital disruptor agency to help us workshop the problem and do a load of market research once we'd understood what the pain points were, what the issues were that we were looking to solve. And certainly part of that was discovering that thousands of people were trying to sell their house on their own without using a estate agent, and they actually had nowhere to go. So Facebook Marketplace, well, they call it a marketplace, but it isn't really. It's a funnel. Gumtree's bit of a funnel. You've got newspapers, you've got your social media feeds and all the rest of it, but there's no proper marketplace for people. And they can't get onto the aggregator platforms that exist. They're just not welcome. So that was clearly a pain point for us to try and resolve with building a marketplace to empower those people and to give them somewhere to go so that they can sell their homes. So, Hiizzy, what you see today is a buy and sell platform, is just the start of our journey. We're 7 months old, and we have a roadmap which is long and full, and a funnel of opportunity which we are really excited about. It's about building an ecosystem around the buy and sell journey to include all the things that come with that process. So, deal progression, conveyancing, photographs, floor plans, surveys, you name it, anything that people need to help them with this journey on a self-help basis. We're building that ecosystem around us so you have a complete one-stop place to go for those who wish to do this themselves, and fundamentally in a transparent and extremely fair way. So, um, you know, our price point when we start charging is £395, and it's a huge saving against an estate agent's fee. And even if you add on, oh well, okay, I want someone to take professional photographs. That might cost you £100. Or to help you with viewings or whatever it happens to be, you're still a country mile away from the basic commission rates that an estate agent will charge you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've done a lot of research and had a lot of conversations around that because I previously had a company that was enabling people to sell properties on Rightmove and Zoopla kind of as an upfront fee. I sort of where I got to was it seems less about fees. I mean, I think there are some people that just want to save the money on selling the property, but actually, I think it's more about the transparency of information and building a relationship with the person you're buying the property from. Some people who sell a property, you're in Jersey. I imagine it's much more communal than where I am in South London, although I'm in a part that is reasonably communal. But sometimes they actually want to understand who the person is going to be that's buying the property. They have 20 years relationships with all their neighbours. They're moving only just down the road, and so there's kind of a lot there. I think that actually just that personal interaction of sales brings, and that is like honesty and transparency besides anything else. I don't know whether you're seeing that.
I fundamentally agree. I think there are two key things with property. The first one is houses sell themselves, so a buyer knows really within a minute or two of going to see a house whether they want to buy that house. And secondly, the best person to sell it is the owner, because yes, you are dealing with a transaction, you are selling something, but actually you're not just selling. You're selling an emotion. You're selling, in large number of cases, people have brought their children up and are either downsizing or upsizing because they've got more children coming along, and there is a relationship and an emotional connectivity with that house which gets lost along the way, and it is bringing that to the fore. And I think you're absolutely right. When Lisa, my wife, sold her house, she'd lived in that little estate for 7 or 8 years, and she'd made some great friendships with her neighbours. And the last thing she wanted to do was sell her house to somebody who was going to disrupt all that and not fit in. And she wanted to find the right person who would fit into that community. And it's about taking control of that. You're not required to sell your house to the first person that comes along. You're entitled to choose. And I think all of that gets lost a bit. So fundamentally, people are decent. And I think you can buy and sell a car without using a mechanic. You can do almost anything without using a third-party person to help you do that thing. And why not for houses? And that community relationship, emotional aspect of this process has been lost, and as part of the Hiizzy journey, this is what we want to bring into it.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. I mean, I've thought for a while that even within an area, I live in a fairly small kind of 2 mile by 2 mile block that's surrounded by rivers, but there are still multiple schools and multiple pubs, and it all depends where you live in that block as to where your children are going to go to school and probably the people you're going to meet and all of that. And so if you're operating as an agent in that area, it's difficult to have all those insights. But I think by actually building a relationship with the seller of a property, you start to understand actually what's my lifestyle going to be like living here, and what really are the neighbours like, and those people at the back and so on, and the local pubs, and where's the live music, and I don't know. but yeah, there's definitely value in it. So I hope it goes well. And on that note, um, what's the take up been like so far? How many people have you had registered? How many properties have
So
you sold?
pretty good. It's a significant challenge building a marketplace from cold. Who the hell's ever heard of Hiizzy? So it's the classic cold start problem. So when you spend 18 months building a product and putting your life and soul into it, and you press the go button on launch, because you're so wrapped up in it and so intense about it, you just think it's going to explode and burst into life, and people are going to come crashing into your website. But of course, it doesn't
Yeah,
happen that way. You've really got to work hard at your marketing and building your brand and building a bit of trust in your brand and making sure that your product is working really, really well. So we're 7 months old, and I think it's going really well. We've got over 1,500 people who have signed up to the platform. We have got 158 listings, which is fantastic, and 5 of those are now showing as sold. And I think there are about 8 or 9 others which are showing as under offer. Things seem to be working quite well, but is 158 a sufficiently big enough marketplace? I'm not sure it is yet. So we're working really hard to continue to build that brand and drive sellers to the website, and also buyers, of course, because it's no good having sellers if you haven't got buyers, and vice versa. So it's an amazing challenge. It's fascinating, and all of our marketing effort is through the digital networks of Google paid ads and Instagram and Facebook, and professional networks like LinkedIn and so forth. As an old duffer, we're not really tuned into using TikTok, so I've got to gird my loins and jump onto that, and start spreading the Hiizzy message through that. So we're using all the social media channels that we can to help build our brand.
yeah. No, I get TikTok. I keep hearing that it's one of the most
Indeed.
powerful advertising
Yeah.
platforms recently. And about 6 months ago, I've got a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old daughter, and they kept watching TikTok, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to have to download this app, bite the bullet, download it. I have to say, I try not to go on it now
Yeah,
because it's quite
yeah.
addictive. For me, it just seems to provide me with music and bands, and people doing kind of covers, and it's really interesting, actually
Yeah.
fascinating. But I can see how they're selling things on there, and it's mostly the change seems to be that somebody comes on and tells you a story about their life, and then suddenly how this product is really helping them in their life, and it's much kind of smooth form of advertising rather than just kind of going, here's a product, come and visit our website, and it seems
Yeah.
to be very
It's
effective.
about
So
it's about being human, isn't it? It's about showing a
yeah,
bit of your personality, a bit of vulnerability. People like to see a human element as opposed to just some hard, cold sales talk. And there is a story to tell. People buy into stories, and we believe we've got a good story, and we look forward to telling that story.
great. Well, I've seen some of your ads actually pop up. I can't remember where it was now. I just think it was on LinkedIn. Come to think of it, but yeah. Anyway, so it's obviously getting out there. So
Thank
you're
you.
doing well. Um, so on the technology side, how have you built the platform to provide a kind of seamless experience? Are there things in there which are helping people, or is it simply that they go along and they can just kind of create whatever they want? And just adding on to that, then if I went on and created something that was um, perhaps incorrect or had some bad language in it or something like that, I don't know. How are you kind of putting a framework in place so that actually you're ensuring that somebody creates something that looks like
Yeah.
a reasonable listing and doesn't just chuck one photo up
Yeah.
and go shed?
So that's one of the challenges with handing over responsibility of something to people. They will do what they want to do. And obviously, we want to ensure a quality product with quality listings. But as a marketplace for the individual, you have to be cognizant of the fact that some people, aren't incredibly fortunate, may not have the most beautiful home, and they still have a right to sell it, and they shouldn't be excluded. And we don't want to exclude anyone, but we do want to encourage people to do the best with what they have to give them the best opportunity of selling. So there are a number of questions that you've thrown at me there, Nick, so I'll try and work through them all. So
Yeah,
it's fine.
sorry about that. I wrapped it like
The
3 into 1.
infrastructure. So we built an infrastructure for people to list their property, and the platform is a bespoke built technology stack. There's nothing off the shelf about this platform. What we wanted to do was, we've come at this as consumers, we're not property agents in any way, shape, or form, just our experience and our frustrations of the journey. And we wanted to build something that we as consumers thought would provide a really good user experience. It's really intuitive. It's really simple to use. It's just some really simple click question and answer buttons that you have to go through. You input your postcode. We then draw on 29, 30 million lines of data, and we throw that data back at you. So what we have, we're giving to our customers. So that data will tell you you're living in a flat, it's leasehold, you've got 3 bedrooms, and then you intuitively fill out the other bits and pieces that go with it. We download Google Maps for you so that you have what's close by, train stations, shops, schools, all of that kind of stuff. We will provide you as part of the journey with an EPC. If there's a current one available, we will give that to you as part of the journey. We give you the ability to upload as many photographs as you want to take. People talk about professional photography, and yes, you can go and get a professional photographer to go and take your pictures, but iPhones these days, the camera technology in them is absolutely fantastic, and you can take some great pictures with your phone. So,
well, they've even got LiDAR, some of the iPhones these days. I mean, you almost do 3D modeling, which I think is incredible. So, yeah, no, they're proper, studio quality almost photographs. I think it just comes down to telling people to kind of clear up the rooms, and
it's how to dress your home, isn't it? We enable people to upload TikTok or Instagram Reel, that kind of stuff, so they can do walk rounds. They can create a floor plan and upload that. There's an app that is accessible through the platform to create a floor plan of your home. And then what happens is all that information is aggregated, and the property description is then written using generative AI, and that writes it for you, which you can then either rewrite, critique, write it yourself, make sure it's true and accurate, because obviously you want to describe your property in the best but truthful way. And once you've done that, you confirm that the description is true and accurate, and then you hit the review button to go to the checkout process, and you see the draft of your listing. And if you're happy with it, you just check out, and then you're into the Hiizzy marketplace. So it's a really quick, intuitive process. If you've got your pictures organized, you can list within 10 or 15 minutes easily.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to hear you're using AI to kind of augment that process and kind of uplift, I suppose, to a certain quality. But I think on our earlier discussion, when you mentioned about things being human, I was relaying to somebody else earlier about I think these days there's less of this idea of everything having to be perfect. And I think that sort of it might have come from the fact that we had COVID and people kind of worked from anywhere. And, you got used to people walking in on backgrounds and video calls and things like that. I mean, we were seeing it on TV, right?
Climbing over the laptop and children appearing and all sorts of stuff goes on.
All of that stuff. But I think the positive that's come out of that is, and I quite like it, it's kind of like, this is where we live, this is our house. It doesn't need to be this perfect show home. You just need to get a good feel of what it's like. And I also think something that we're perhaps moving into is, I read estate agents' listings quite often, and they're kind of like, mixer, tap, basin, tiles on the, splashback tiles, lawn, garden laid to lawn or something like that. I think what people really want to know is, what it's like living in this place with 2 kids and a dog, and you're a runner, and you want to go to the local pub, and that's sort of more to a lifestyle kind of version of living there, and it just feels more
absolutely. And a part of the listing journey, which I missed when I was describing it, is we have a whole section here to enable people to write down what they love about their home. They've bought it and lived there for, I don't know, it could be 10 years. They might have a brand spanking new kitchen. They might have a little swimming pool in the back garden. They might have a sunny deck. The street might be really quiet. Neighbours are great. Views over the country fields, or whatever it happens to be. Just write down as many things that you love about your home. Old fireplace, beams, or the fact that it's brand spanking new and just been refurbished. Whatever it is, sell your emotion. There is an art to selling.
Yeah, that's right.
And you are the best person to express that emotion about your home, to encourage somebody's interest in it. If you want to sell it, that's what it's about. So you've got to put a bit of effort into it. But then the generative AI will take all of that and create a really nice description for you. So it's a really cool feature.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I like the sort of
Absolutely.
authenticity of it. It feels a bit more genuine. In terms of the images, are you doing any kind of enhancement of photos using AI? Because that might be a kind of easy win to lift quality, where it's maybe a bit of a darker
Yeah.
day or something.
Yeah.
You
So
could brighten it up.
like all new technology businesses, we've launched what's called our minimum viable proposition, our MVP. We've got to get into the market, and we are, we're 51% there. We've got 49% to go, plus our roadmap that we want to deliver upon. So there's plenty of things coming through by way of technological iterations and improvements that we're bringing into the platform, and some are rolling out, have rolled out over the last 6 months. So things are getting better. In terms of photos, you can crop, rotate, and move your images around, so you can choose the order in which they come and all of that kind of stuff within the platform. But we don't yet have the ability to enhance pictures. And part of that is because this is a marketplace. This is an advertising platform for people to upload their own images. We're not interfering with that. We have a knowledge hub full of lots of helpful information as to how to dress your home and how to take great pictures and all of that kind of good stuff. But at this stage, we don't have a team of people sitting behind the scenes who are enhancing digitally or through AI photographs that people upload. What we do is obviously ensure qualitative aspects of photographs. So if somebody's photos are absolutely rubbish, picture of a back door and a garden full of rubbish, then we'll reach out to them and encourage them to take better pictures, talk to them about it, and try and be of help. Refer them to the Knowledge Hub articles that we have and all of that kind of stuff. But we will take that listing down and put it back into their draft folder if they don't do anything about it, because again, it's about meeting the qualitative aspects of what we want to do. We don't want to discourage anyone, but we want everyone to make the best possible effort they can. We don't want people taking the mick, basically, and that's pretty easy
No,
right now because we're free as we try and build our marketplace. It doesn't cost anyone to list their property on Hiizzy at the moment, and we obviously want it to be as good as possible.
yeah, oh no, that's great. I mean, there's a lot I think, and I'm sure you've got these in your roadmap and you thought about these ideas already. But I think there's a lot that could be automated there
Yeah,
through AI
yeah. I'm
around
not sure. I'm not sure that
so many
the
aspects.
technology is there in terms of reading photographs. We had an idea of you upload photographs, AI would read the photographs and help with property description. I'm not sure that technology is quite there yet or affordable for us to acquire to build into our platform, but we have an eye on all of this stuff. And technology, this is all about a technology solution, and and therefore if you're going to be a tech play, you've got to make it as best as you possibly can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's whenever I think about products that I've launched or designed, it's you've got these 50 things that you want to roll out, and you've got to just boil it down to where am I going to add the most value? And actually, you could end up spending money and time developing
Nobody
something, and
wants
you
it.
find out that that's not what
Exactly.
people want. Yeah. So that's the
Yeah,
point of the
exactly.
MVP, right? So, I mean, that's really interesting. It's great to hear you're making progress. So, what's next for Hiizzy?
Continue on the road of building brand awareness and gathering as many listings as we can. And we launched our product in London. So that's where we are spending most of our digital marketing spend to build our product there. But our heat map, if you look at it, it's extraordinary. Properties are popping up all over the place, and that's That's really, really amazing. So we're really excited about that. So we want to get sufficient traction that we can then turn our model into a charging model. We don't think, building a marketplace, who's going to pay to go on it if nobody's on it? So you've got to build that marketplace first. And then when we've got sufficient traction, we will start charging. Of course, we have to, otherwise the business won't survive. And then start rolling it out across the UK. We want this to be accessible and available to everyone. And, Hiizzy is about choice. You don't have to use it. If you want to use an estate agent, it's totally fine by us. But we present a choice and a marketplace for people which has not existed before.
And what's the demographic of your customers? Are you seeing? Because I just very quickly would imagine that actually the kind of people that might choose to sell their own property in London might be those that think, you know what, I've got a flat in a block of flats here. They're all the same. There's 30 flats or whatever. What's the point, in having an agent come around? There's nothing. But somebody with like maybe a £5 million house in Hampstead with little outbuildings and little alcoves, probably some value in having an agent there. Are you seeing anything develop out of your customer base that indicates where the take-up
Yes,
is?
we are. It's between the lowest point, probably £220,000-30,000 is our lowest valued property, up to nearly 2 million.
Oh, right. So,
price is irrelevant. It's about your personal motivation and what you want to do. It's about whether you want to take control of your property sale. A £5 million house in Hampstead, as you describe, there is nothing to stop you using Hiizzy. But one would understand that you might want to use an agent to help you with that. High net worth individuals are usually cash rich and time poor. And so an agent model would work for them. One understands for, a £15 million flat in Eaton Square, for example, that they'll want to be sure about who's coming to look at it and have a buffer zone through an agent to vet people to make sure that, they're not just allowing anyone in. But if they equally were wanting to sell it on Hiizzy, then there is nothing to stop them. But the range at the moment is, about 230 up to 2 million. So it's brilliant to see. There are some amazing properties on there.
yeah, that's really interesting. So, almost the entire span of the market. So it seems like value of property and complexity of the property doesn't really seem to be a barrier. It's more.
So Hiizzy is so simple to use that there is no barrier to anyone using it, no matter what property they've got.
Yeah, interesting. Well, to anybody listening, head over to Hiizzy and give it a go if you're thinking of selling your property. If not, just go and have a look. And buyers, I guess, register there as well. Right?
Absolutely. So you don't need to create an account as a buyer to trawl around the website and have a look. But if you want to book a viewing, then you obviously do have to create an account and your email gets authenticated and all of that kind of stuff. The platform provides secure direct messaging between buyer and seller to enable viewings to take place. And when a seller lists their property, they put into a viewings calendar when they're available to do viewings. So they might work 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and then they could do evenings and the weekend. So that's when they make those dates available. So a buyer would just choose one of those dates. It would go through secure messaging instantly to the seller, and that date gets agreed. They can just simply ask questions, or if they really want to, they can make an offer through the platform. So there are no limitations in terms of getting to that point of sale in direct communication. In using Hiizzy.
Interesting. Well, it sounds like a great product, and if I choose to sell my house in the future, I'll
please
check
do.
it out. So, yeah, Lewis, been great talking to you. Thanks for joining us today on Apex, and we wish you all the luck
Nick, and I really
in the future.
appreciate the invitation to come onto the podcast. It's been an enjoyable conversation. All right,
great.
Cheers.
Thanks, Lewis.